This episode of Speakers of Eidolon is made possible by our generous patrons. Special thanks to our Supreme and Master Speakers, Circa Barakeel, Remy Azalea, Ray Cypher, Omega Cat Comet, Erizu Yamakawa, Arcadia Lunashine, Dramavian, Nina Grimstarter, Casey Schaefer, Dimos, Lily Black, Hans Grenade, Sapa Chakwatol, Faris Gentoru, Cletus Oreo, Quick Levin, Luclea Natrell, Stella Bell, Ceres, Icy Lee, Lyria Rain, Pamela Isley, Umbral Wind, Naive Arano, Celeste Rasgris, Elenriel Maximus, Edwin, Bob CC, Fabson Voidworm, Raimi Maverick, Codred No, Mira Miri, Winebow Brood, Bay Barbalay, Kaiser Regina, Uzora Akari, AJ Brainswordson, Suno Shikano, Yowie Wowie, Cheshire Saltiri, Gideon Ura, Buster Gearhold, and Nat Clay. Support the show and become a patron today at patreon.com/speakersxiv. Thank you.
This is Speakers of Eidolon.
Good evening, Aorcians. Welcome to Speakers of Eidolon, episode 220. I'm Lakeel Bravestone, and I'm joined today by Georgi Wisdom. It's just us this week. You're gonna have to deal with that, everyone. Rolla will be back next week. I think he might be back tomorrow. I don't know, but he will definitely be back in the next episode. This is episode 220. It is November 7th, 2020. And without saying anything, it is a big day. But the week has been boring for 14. We do have some interviews that we will read and discuss today with Yoshi-P. We will also be reading a dev blog update. Which is less exciting than you'd think, considering what it actually is. And we will be reading MogMail today, so make sure you send us MogMail for next week, speakersxiv.com/MogMail. You probably will not be surprised to know that this website might be a little slow. But your MogMail will make it to us if you just wait. One day, that website will work. But that day is not today. So be patient with the speaker's website. Stay tuned for the post-show. We'll be answering questions from the Syndicate. That's the show for today. Let's jump into what we've done, or this week in 14, as I actually call it on YouTube. Well, I don't have to pick. I was gonna be like, who wants to start? Well, Georgi.
Well, okay. So this week, I have continued ranking up in Bosja, very tiny amount, and more so been focusing on leveling Samurai. And I'm once again going to say a job is more complicated than I remember it being. The Hawaii hotbar is completely full with Samurai skills. I was surprised by that.
Yeah. There's a lot. I can't remember what I've done. Have I done any? Oh yeah, I did. We did Boss John stream.
Mm-hmm.
After I leveled all my classes.
What's there to do? Right now, at least.
Yeah, and I got my relic. I have the full glamour from the Bosja stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else to do, and I've cleared all the extremes. I guess I could. Well, the only one I haven't cleared is. Wait, we cleared Varus, didn't we?
You have cleared them all.
Well, I need to mount farm, I guess, but I don't care about mounts. So,
I
for
mean,
me, yeah,
do you need to upgrade all of the Bosja gear
that's true.
still so that they all have haste on them for whatever the 24/48 man instance will be that comes in 0.4?
That's true. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we do need to clear Shiva.
No, we don't. No, we don't. I cleared Shiva Extreme when it was relevant. I don't need to
Yeah, but
do it
now-
again.
Now you get to play battleships. Why don't you want to play battleships?
I don't care. Blue Mage. Oh, that's true. That's actually a really good idea because Blue Mage, I still don't have all of them, all of the spells.
we can farm the rest of the spells.
Yeah, considering the update that's coming in the next patch for Blue, it's probably a good idea to have everything decked out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing in 14 now, is like trying to figure out what to do. There is a lot of content. The problem is that a lot of it is like, I don't even think about it. Like it's there, like Blue Mage right now. That didn't cross my mind yesterday.
I can't remember. Did you beat all of the last 5 additions to the Mask Carnival?
Oh, they added 5.
They added 5 in the last patch.
Yeah.
The last time they added updates to it, so I don't know if you beat
get
all
like
5 of
you
them.
get like a new weapon for that.
That's only for the 30th one.
I don't think I did the last 5 then. I don't remember. Maybe.
I remember you complaining about one of them to me, but I can't remember if that meant you did all of them.
Well, then I probably did all of them, but because I don't think I would, because I remember just spending hours and hours beating them. So, but I thought that was just the initial ones, because I waited a long time to do the carnival. So I might have just done all of them after they'd added the 5. Wait, was that this patch?
It wasn't this patch. It was like 5.1.
Okay, well then I 100% did it, probably. Yeah.
Okay.
You get the mask headpiece for it? Yeah, well then I've done it. I have that. Right.
That's bringing up a good point. The relic grind was not a grind at all this time.
I'm worried. I'm a little worried, because this was supposed to be the grind part. And
Yeah.
While it was an initial grind, I guess, to get like the... No. I tried to make it a longer grind by not doing like the anti-tower, like the fates and the anti-tower stuff, but I still got it like last week.
Yeah.
And I got all the bitter memories except for one, because we did leveling roulette on stream and I didn't know you actually got one for doing a leveling roulette. The fact that you could do the fates, it ruins it, because when I did Bosja, no, to be fair, I never grinded in Bosja for the relic. I did it to progress, to get to the castrum, and then at the end of it I just happened to have enough.
Weren't you grinding a bunch of mobs for the bitter
Yeah,
memories?
that's the second part. So
yeah,
you have to finish the first part. The first part I did not grind for. The second part, however, I decided... So at the second part, I thought, I have to do anti-tower now. I had no idea how to get the... Because it is so, like... In the community right now, that is the way to get the last part of the relic. Do anti-tower 6 times. So that's what I thought. But I thought, no. I refuse to do this. I want to do the relic in the relic zone. So I figured out that you could... So here's a hot tip. If you're on the second part, you don't want to do 6 anti-towers. By the way, you can't undersize. You have to do an actual full run of anti-tower. Go to Bosja. You can be a white mage. I think that's the best, because you have a lot of emergency heals just in case you're starting to fuck up. Pop the Ether Weaver. Is that the buff for healers?
I think so.
Make sure you have Protect. And I also used one of those damage buffs that last for 6 minutes. I don't remember what they're called. go to the there's like the two groups of mobs outside the camp. There's the plants and the fish. So you grab all of the plants first. You holy them. You use your AoE skills and you do the misery, kill them, and then move on to the next one, and then just keep alternating between those. Took me an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. I don't remember. And boom, you have them. That is like a legit way of doing it. Instead of doing like, you can do reflect farm as well, I guess, but that one you can do solo. I did that solo.
Technically, you can reflect farm solo.
You can.
It's not very fun, and it's not very fast.
No. Yeah. Also, make sure you might want to do that on a dead instance or a dying instance. I ended up being in a completely isolated instance when I did it. Okay, so that's that. Yeah, it does. I am a little sad that this looks like it might be where we're going with the relic now.
Yeah.
That it's just gonna be done in like a couple of weeks, or less than that. I mean, people got the relic like within the first days of the patch.
Mela got in the first week.
Yeah.
Many people have gotten in the first month.
Yeah.
I think I understand not wanting the grind to be as long as it was back in Heavenswood and around Reborn, but I feel like this has gone too far in the other direction.
Yeah. The problem is the problem with the old system was that the grind was so long that when most people got it, it was already time for the next patch and the higher eye level. So at least now you have the relic in good time before the next patch, so you can feel a little powerful with it. It's weird. I don't know. The relic system in 14 has always been not controversial, but like it's always been something with no, it can't please everyone. Because the people who do the relic grind, did the relic grind back in the day, loved the fact that it could take them like a month to get the relic. But then there were the others, I will say the Rollos, who okay. Rollo, I know he's not here to defend himself, so I will not linger on this for too long. But he's like, he is one of the people that are like, relics take too long. I want faster relic. I want to get it quickly. Then they get their way, and then Rollo says that the relics are ugly and he doesn't really want them. That's all I wanted to say. Anyways,
I don't really know what Rollo wants. Rollo wants from the appearance of the relic.
I think Rollo never wanted the relics. He just wanted to fuck up a system that he doesn't use. Because he's like, I'll complain about this, and then they change it, and it's like, he's like, no. Anyways, yes, I hope they. The system is fine the way it is now, but they need to tweak it a little, so it takes a little longer. Maybe have more steps, because there's only 2 steps.
Yeah,
that could help, I guess, but. Because you also, between like step 1, you get another version of the relic, and then you get another. Just keep adding versions to the relic, so at least you feel like you have progression between them.
Does the model change?
No, that was disappointing. Okay. I wish they did like the old Realm Reborn relic, where it's unfinished, and then it gets that. I think there's 3 stages to it, right? Yeah, there's the...
I think the Realm Reborn one had 3 different appearances, and I think the Heavenswood one might have had 4 or 5.
Yeah, that one had a lot. Yeah. Like, it had like a naked man on the White Mage one, and then it just turned into like...
I think you're talking about Stormbloods.
Was that Stormblood?
The naked man's Stormblood, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Was it? I don't remember. Naked man. Oh, was it the naked woman?
The naked woman might have been Heavenswood.
Yeah, I don't remember. Well, it doesn't matter. I like it when you can see like a change. Like here,
Yeah.
it's the only change is my cane,
Twig.
my twig. I didn't want to say it, but yes, my twig got a glow. That's all that changed. All right, that's what we've done in 14 this week, and also. Thank God we got a little relic rant in there as well. Let's jump into recent events. Congratulations to Cerberus. It is the first European server to complete the Firmament, followed by Ragnarok mere hours later. That means Chaos is currently, as of recording this, the only European data center to have completed. Well, there's only 2 data centers. Let's be real here. But Chaos is currently the only European data center to have completed the Firmament.
And as a result, Light is the only data center without a world to have completed the Firmament.
Yes.
Across all of the data centers.
Yes. Right. So
and on a side note,
yeah,
Japan only has 3 worlds left to complete the Firmament, which is slightly more than the amount of servers that have completed on Europe.
Yeah. I have not done I might have done one of the fates for this round of Firmament restoration. I don't feel like I need to be there right now because all my crafting classes are 80.
I think you have something to talk about. I think we'll have something to talk about next week because there should be new quests there now.
Ooh, that's true. Yeah, gotta get on that. Yeah. All right. It's time to talk about merch again. There's new
physical merch.
Physical merch this time. It's not Final Fantasy 14 online store stuff. New Taito, the Major General plush, and Fisher's best friend Momora Mora, available on the merch on the Square Enix online store.
I like calling it the Fisher's best friend Momora Mora.
Yeah. They're cute. That's all I have to say.
If they're Taito plushies, that means they're probably claw game rewards.
Oh, that's true. Actually, yeah. So you're gonna have to waste some more money on them than you would normally.
Why isn't there a front-on view of the Momora Mora?
Because it would look horrifying. Because how do you get a good it's so flat and it'll be like so narrow.
I know. It's based on the worst fish in the world.
I'm gonna get that fish, and then I'm gonna cut out like a little U in the top, and then I'm gonna send it to you, Rollo. That'll be your Momora Mora.
Rollo.
What?
You called me Rollo.
Did I call you Rollo? Oh, wow, it didn't even register that I called you Rollo. I meant Georgi, of course.
I like how you were about to say, I meant you.
Yeah. I was biting for time. I had to remember your name. Okay. Let's move on to the dev blog.
Hell yeah.
And it is more merch. The headline: The Fat Cat and the Paisa. Hi everyone. Sexos here. Today, I'm here to introduce some...
Sorry.
Sorry, what?
It's just... Say that again. Say his name again.
Hey everyone. Zexos here.
Okay, that's better.
Did I say...
like you said something else the first time.
I heard it too. I was gonna move on really quickly. Today, I'm here to introduce some upcoming merchandise that is available for pre-order. First up, let's take a look at the Fat Cat cushion, even.
Concussion.
Oh no.
What's wrong with you?
It's going to be one of those episodes. Those who follow the official Final Fantasy XIV Instagram account, which we hope you do, may remember a photo of Yoshi-P testing out a prototype in July.
Oh yeah, this picture. Oh, you have a second excuse to use this picture.
Oh, I love it. I already have. Yeah. I have him like on a transparent background. I certainly remember it. All I could think was, oh my 12, Bayonne, look at that cat. It is so big. What can I say? I like fat cats and I cannot lie. What the fuck? Okay. Enough reminiscing. Recently, the Square Enix Japan merchandise team shared a few new photos of the 3 giant fat cat cushions they have in their office. We had to share them with you. So they had some... I'm going to do a Yoshi-P for our viewers for chat. Okay.
Oh, good.
Okay.
I was...
Well...
I was hoping you were going to show them. I was going to link them in chat if you couldn't.
Wait, hold on. I got this. I'll turn down the brightness on the screen. There you go.
Oh, that's much better.
Cute. And then, oh.
Make sure you show these. Oh no! Show
when
the one
he sits on his
the ones
face.
that are... Yeah.
Look at that.
Thanks.
That is, it's good. So for audio listeners, sitting on, there's different photos of the fat cat. One where it's like lying on its side, one on its back, and one where it sits in a chair. I think that's pretty cute because it's so big. I've turned up the brightness again. Fuck it. Where it's sitting on a chair, and then there's a 4-panel like picture where like there's 4 different photos of someone sitting on the fat cat, and the first one is literally him sitting on the face. Let's see, let me read. This adorable furball is approximately 75 centimeters long, 29.5 inches for Americans. 89. No, we don't. No,
we don't need that.
No. 89 centimeters wide and 45 centimeters tall. It's gigantic. Here's a view. They show from above. Just like regular cats, the fat cat cushion always seems to be in your seat when you least expect it. It's so cute that it makes you question whether you actually need to sit in that chair at all. Classic cat owner meme. Have a few more photos from various angles. The merch team mentioned that the cushion was so soft and fluffy that it felt great sitting on it.
I have to say, it doesn't look very fluffy. It looks like it's made out of that sort of nylon material.
Yeah. Following that, let's check out this cute Paisa Patissier plushie. Oh, frying in a pan. Okay, here we go. There he is. Oh, come on, focus. Come on. There we go. It's the Paisa with the little chef hat. It's very cute. This little Paisa will be sure to keep an eye on you. That fucked up the white balance. Okay, and I made it worse. Okay, well, it'll sort itself out eventually, I hope. Okay, well, anyways, the little Paisa... Oh, God. Sorry. Okay. That's fine. It'll get good again. This little Paisa will be sure to keep an eye on you while you bake some amazing pastries, or attempt to bake. It's very cute. It shows off some details. It has like a little scarf thing. I don't know what they're called. The little hat.
Can you take the scarf off, because it looks detachable?
Oh yeah, and wear it yourself.
I don't think you can wear it yourself. I think most people's heads are too big.
Yeah. And check out these buns.
Excuse me?
They're so round and well done on the tail area. Oh. Let me read that again. And check out these buns. They're so round and well done on the tail area. It may just give you the inspiration you need when baking some amazing buns of your own. Just don't bite into them. Although it's super soft. Furthermore, this paisa comes with an in-game bonus item code for the stuffed paisa patissier indoor furnishing. So not only can you enjoy it IRL, you can enjoy it in-game as well. So Warriors of Light, yeah. Warriors of Light, yeah. Don't you want this fat cat and paisa? Hells yeah.
Remember, Fat Cat got back.
Mm-hmm.
So the Fat Cat doesn't come with an in-game item. That's kind of surprising considering the fact that it is 218 euros
Bonkers.
in price.
Bonkers. Yeah. Well, if you want them, you can get them now. You can still pre-order on the Square Enix store. Okay. Yeah, Fat Cat does not come with an in-game item.
I don't know what it would be.
No, because there's already a Fat Cat, both mount and minion in the game, so...
And sofa that can be crafted.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, there you go. That's the merch for today. Now, let's jump into the main story. We have a couple of Yoshi-P interviews. Well, let's jump into them. The first one is from MMORPG.com. Final Fantasy XIV. Naoki Yoshida talks about the pandemic. Lore, how to grind crafting, and more.
How to grind crafting?
Yeah. Even if you didn't know Final Fantasy XIV before the pandemic, it's now certainly the talk of the games industry. It's gained momentum as one of the top MMORPGs of the era, and that role doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. Through patch 5.3 Reflections in Crystal, the game wrapped up its renowned Shadowbringers expansion with a story conclusion that players argued matched the original storyline in quality and emotion. The patch also brought a number of... I don't know why I'm so animated reading this interview. Okay, the patch also brought a number of quality of life changes, as well as an expanded trial that has every veteran begging their friends to take advantage of. It's since been nominated for a 2020 Golden Joystick for Best Expansion and still playing.
There was one other, but I don't remember it, and it's not as funny.
No. Since then, the team got back to work on upcoming content, with the next major update already coming in December. Despite the busy schedule, director Naoki Yoshida took some time to chat with us about a breadth of topics, from coronavirus considerations to crafting, and even Domen Mahjong. Let's jump into the interview. First of all, congratulations on patch 5.3 Reflections in Crystal. It seems many players are excited about how this patch finished the Shadowbringer storyline. Dedicated followers of the lore are especially impressed with the consistency of certain facts, such as memory or soul transference that appears in lore as far back as A Realm Reborn's launch. What does the decision-making process for a long-term story like this look like? Yoshida says, "Thank you very much for the encouragement and kind words. I would like to express our gratitude on behalf of the development team to every player in the community. Regarding lore consistency and foreshadowing, to be honest, there are no real tips or tricks to our workflow and mythology. However, we have some great minds on Final Fantasy XIV like Preorder and Koji Fox, who are not only able to create lore, but can also flexibly adapt to any changes, utilizing their skills as writers. Additionally, we have Natsuko Ishikawa and a team of scenario writers who take great care in being mindful of lore and subplots from previous content. I'm a fan of traditional mystery novels, and my motto for resolving any plot threads is to remain as fair as possible. In the end, I think all these pieces came together to make Final Fantasy XIV and its story what it is today." Oh no. Scroll too far. At the at the onset of A Realm Reborn, we worked hard just to sprinkle mysteries throughout the story. Of course, we had to avoid including any threads that might severely restrict future story developments, and interspersed these mysteries while keeping it somewhat open-ended so that we could be agile and connect them however and whenever we saw fit. I think our players contributed to the success of this format because the community has always voiced their thoughts and observations of the story and read deeply into the scenario, which kept us trying our hardest to weave all of the strands together. I believe that in some ways, it is almost a living, joint effort between us and the players to continue the story together. We're always passing this on to our younger team members. Stay tuned to see what they can bring. He brings... Yeah, go on.
Oh, no, sorry, you go first.
He brings up the not wanting to restrict future story developments, which is clearly something he strongly dislikes about 1.0. He's always said that 1.0 was too restrictive in its storytelling, and that's like the ghost that's always been around them when making story. So A Realm Reborn story is like a result of 1.0's horrible storytelling, where they keep it more open. They add, because 1.0 like they had like, it was very set where things were going.
Yeah.
You could like Garlean Empire, Garlean Empire, Ascians, Garlean Empire, done. While in A Realm Reborn, they just threw a lot of shit in there. Like the lore, I often say that 1.0 had more of its own contained lore. A Realm Reborn had way more spread out and living lore. It's hard to explain. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel.
What was the extent of knowledge known about Ascians in 1.0 other than Travanche? Or was that it?
No, they started to like explore what Ascians were. Like there's this the only time we actually see like a pure Ascian is that like what we would later know as an Ascian Prime. Yeah. In 1.0 that was sort of depicted as like an actual just pure Ascian without like having a body. They didn't have time to go into it because then the game was shit and they never patched in more of the story. Ascian Primes were wandering the streets. Yeah, they were Ascian Primes were essentially just Ascians, so they would be like floating because there's a cut scene where you've just done like a parlay or something. Horrible, by the way. And
good game.
It's in like Thanalan. I still remember this scene, and then there's just an Ascian just floating past in the back, and they're like, stand still, and then it's just an Ascian just floating by.
So there's like no explanation for it?
It's been a long time. No, I think they explain a little. Like they're like a mythical like race. The Shadowless. Like remember they try to explain it with Travanche a little bit. Like Y'shtola gives us a little bit of information. Like they serve. Does she actually say Zodiarch in 1.0? I don't remember if she does. But she does say like those without shadow or the Shadow Eaters. I don't remember. She says something weird. I remember when I did Chronicles of a Realm, there's that one scene on the boat where Y'shtola is like, oh, it's an Ascian. The Ascians. The something Shadow Eaters? Something stupid that I don't think we've ever heard since. But yeah, it's that's all we learn. Yeah, I feel like 1.0 is supposed to expand on the whole Ascian concept because they just begin with like, oh, they're this mystical, scary, like evil force in the world.
Did you think they had any concept for Ascians to be like the overarching villain behind the Garlean Empire as much as they did once Realm Reborn came around?
Well, it's interesting because when we first see that Ascian, there's just been like some turmoil with the Amalja between two beast tribes. I think it was the Amalja and the Was it 2 beast tribes, or was it just within the beast tribe itself? Or was it... No, it was humans versus Amalja, I think. And I think it kind of came out of nowhere. And then when you resolve it, the Ascian just kind of passes. And I feel like it kind of implies that maybe that's what had affected them. Wasn't that 1.0 Ascian called a bestial? Yeah, I think they called it something like that. Yeah. Maybe the concept of Ascians was like way different in 1.0, that there was going to be like tiers almost of like Ascian creatures, kind of like Void Scent, but like in the Ascian tree. But yeah, I don't know if they were... I don't think they... It's hard to tell. 1.0 story is very hard to like figure out, because remember how it died so quickly. Like it had one patch, which was like 6 quests, and then Yoshi-P came and changed the story a little. So, well, a lot. So yeah. I would have been very intrigued to know though, from what we've known, I don't think they've found any, if they ever wrote the whole story down, or if it is available. Knowing like Square Enix in the past, they tend to like throw shit away when it's not.
Yeah. I would say that now that the Ascian storyline, for the most part, is like concluded, or at least the Ascian story. Okay.
This is the quest description. Minfilia Ward tasked the adventurer with visiting an Amalja excavation site in Gridania to negotiate with 2 of the beast tribes, the Amalja and the Ixal, who were on the verge of summoning their respective primals. As the adventurer stopped the tribes from going through with the ritual, a bestial Ascian appeared and frightened the tribes away. That's how it went down. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, you can continue. What did you continue, Georgi? If you remember what you were saying.
What was I saying? I don't remember anymore. Oh well.
Okay. Yeah. So it was 2 tribes. Yeah. The Amalja and the Ixal. I think this is. I think it's based on where your city state is. I think, but where would you be if you were in Limsa? No, that can't be, because this is after the merged main scenario.
Also, it specifically mentions visiting an Amalja excavation site in Gridania.
An Amalja excavation site? That one has to be wrong. It can't be Gridania, right? An Amalja excavation site in Gridania, inside the city-state.
I don't think...
No. I think this must be wrong. Whoever wrote this has to have mistyped. I'm pretty sure it happened... in Thanalan. It happened in Thanalan. It happened in one of those like cave mountains. Cave mountains. Yeah. It is in the combined
I remember what I was
MSQ.
going to ask.
Yeah, go on.
Okay. I remember what I was going to ask. Now that like the Ascian storyline for the most part is wrapped up, excluding like Fandaniel and I guess any other unrelated, unsundered or sundered Ascians, someone could probably ask Koji Fox or Preorder like about the original plans for what the Ascians would have been in 1.0, if it's in any way different or not concerning what's going to happen going forward.
Yeah. But that's the thing, do they know? Because they've sort of implied many times that they don't know much of the original vision of 1.0 because it's kind of lost. They only have like the original like Bible, the gives the basic lore. I don't know if Ascian is in there. Yeah. Maybe it is. Maybe it was considered basic, like fundamental lore. There were so remaining 1.0 plots is just Garlemald now because Alamigo done ish. Ascian done. Garlemald. That's what's left. That's the last one. Oh, and the thing underneath Silvertear, I guess.
Oh yes. What about what's it called? What's that stinky underneath Gridania City?
Oh yeah, Gelmora. Yeah.
Yeah.
So sad.
Technically, I think they consider it done.
That's so sad.
I know.
I did on the last like Patreon 1.0 tour, we went to the ruins, and it just hits you when you go there. Like 1.0 is such an empty world, but when you get to the Galmora ruins in the North Shroud, it is such a massive structure. It is like you come in and it's like this imposing massive thing, and there's got like this like crystallized entities that has to be Tonberries. I don't know what else they would be. I'm 100% sure that Galmora would have played a big role in the story. There wouldn't have been maybe the Allagan Empire at all. It probably would have been Galmora that would have been the main focus probably for the story before an expansion, which is sad.
I think
yeah, go on.
I will say that I think they can do more with the Alligans simply because they had a far greater reach than the Galmorans ever did.
Well, we don't know though. Well, the Galmorans only dug around in Gridania. That's true. They were never an empire, but they could have dug far down. Like, what if they dug too far? You know, they encountered some shit.
I mean, I can see that, but could never. It would be very weird if you ever encountered Galmoran artifacts in Othar.
That's true, but it didn't have to be like an empire. Like they didn't have to go for the Allagan storyline, where like the Allags were everywhere. Like they could have just I don't know. It was interesting because we could even see like Galmoran tech, like in some of the unused dungeons that were never released.
Yeah.
I could also, I don't know if I ever said this, but I can confirm that they do have animations. They do work. Like they were animated. Yeah, I don't know. Here we go with Galmora again. the thing we can't get. Anyways, let's go back to the interview. Like other game companies, it appears the Final Fantasy XIV team was affected by the pandemic, especially given this is an MMORPG with continuous content. What were some of the more interesting challenges and accomplishments the development team saw? Yoshida says, at this point, the impact of COVID-19 on our development, including patch 5.4, has been almost completely mitigated. This is due to the fact during the 5.3 development cycle, both the 14 team and Square Enix as a company worked closely and quickly to shift not the development itself, but the development environment to accommodate working from home. During this transition, we put a momentary pause on development, placing the utmost priority on each individual's and their families' health. The first step was making the decision to create this new development environment in which we can continue our work and continue to deliver the best story and experience to the players. In the end, the staff was able to keep their mentality strong and motivation high, even in an uncertain time, and worked hard to bring development back up to speed. Okay, we're done with that part now. No, we're not. There's more. Shit, I thought we were done. Final Fantasy XIV is an MMORPG, and simply adjusting the game client is not enough to bring development back to normal. Rather, each team found what they could do given the situation and put immense energy into that work, coming up with a way to grant access to our local servers while keeping them secure, continuing work on planning and production of battle stages remotely, or even working individually on creating 5.3 cutscenes are just a few examples off the top of my head. Currently, 90% of the development team is still working on patch development in a work-from-home environment, yet productivity levels are nearly equal, above 95, to that of what we saw before these changes were implemented.
That's good. I wonder who the 10% of the development team is working in the office. What part of the team needs to be in that environment?
Yeah, who would that be? The Chocobo guy, of course. The Chocobo racing guy. The guy in charge of updating the minions for Lord of Verminion.
Oh, it's a sad job.
Yeah. I guess maybe community managers need to like coordinate. Like if there's
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess customer support is at home still? I don't know.
I think customer support can be done from home.
Yeah. Okay. From the outside, at least in the West, it seems like more players are joining than ever, in some part due to the pandemic and also thanks to the popularity of Shadowbringers. Are there any changes that you've noticed from the player base during this time? Yoshida says, with the threat of COVID-19 still causing some very serious issues across the globe, I decided to reduce the amount of promotional activities we are engaged in for the time being. I felt it would be inappropriate to use the situation we are in to encourage people to stay home as sort of a stepping stone to getting them into the game. If a game that I loved did something like this, I would feel a bit disappointed.
I wouldn't.
No. I mean, that's like what you crave, right? When you're like, oh god, now I have to be inside. What do I do? An ad like Shadowbringers ad might help.
Yeah, give me options.
Yeah. However, as we are working to get development back up to speed, players and influencers around the world and even members of the media raised their voices to encourage people to play 14. Thanks to that outreach from the community and our supporters, it brought more friends and family members to Eorzea, and I feel that the world of 14 expanded further and grew stronger because of it. Once again, I am reminded that we are where we are now because we are supported by the world's best community. My biggest thanks to you all for being a part of it. There you go. It looks like players around the world are holding more in-game events than ever. Has the team seen any interesting or memorable events? I typically play on the Japanese data center, so it can be somewhat difficult to see people role-playing outside of Japan firsthand, but there was something I found interesting. I believe this was picked up by media as well, but I'm referring to the story about the guy who kept eating boiled eggs. That particular anecdote reminded me that you never know what will happen in an MMORPG, and that's what makes it so much fun.
It's a good story.
That is a good story. I think I talked about this on the podcast, did I? Or did I talk about it on the stream, maybe?
No, I think we talked about it on a stream. I don't think we brought it up on a podcast previously.
So, obviously, that's Ross O'Donovan, Rubber Ninja, who ate 2,000...
How many eggs is it?
2020? I think he ate 2020 eggs.
How many did he eat in real life?
And he ate one in real life, I think. I think that was just like the end.
I thought he ate more than one.
Yeah. Was it 4,000? I don't remember. 999? Okay, so yeah, he ate a lot. Some might have seen a familiar figure in the crowd. Me. I was there.
Oh, were you there?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Where was it again?
I don't remember. I just happened to have an alt there, and I'm like, I have to be. This is a historic moment. This is where someone's eating thousands of eggs. I must see this in person. In person.
This is the kind of content that Rollo wants, where everyone in the community can gather together and watch shit on like an in-game TV or something.
Yeah. Watching someone eat eggs, which is that sound, like that eating sound, that sound. Oh, it gets old after the first 1,000 eggs, I must say. But yeah, that was a weird event, but also it's like one of those like strange events that you just feel like you have to watch because it's so stupid. And I love that. So yeah, in Japan, there are many festivals, matsuri in Japanese, that happen during the summertime. My headset's dying.
It's wrong.
Okay. But because of the pandemic, almost all of the festivals in Japan were cancelled. However, was cancelled. Did I just say cancel? Cancelled. However, our players thought, if we can't have a summer festival in real life, then we should just do it in Eorzea. They used large swaths of housing wards to build a large-scale summer festival. I snuck in to take a look, and I was blown away by just how amazing it was and the attention to detail. Perhaps if you search for FF14 Housing Matsuri or something along those lines, you might be able to see some screenshots of the various events on the Japan servers. I encourage you to search for it. Note: a rep for Final Fantasy XIV specifically directed us to this hashtag for an event that took place on the Alexander server. What is the hashtag?
Oh, you want me to read it?
Just the hashtag, yeah. Oh, is it a Japanese hashtag?
It's Araki Matsuri, which I don't know what that means to you.
No. So just search for FF14 Housing Matsuri or something. Good luck.
I mean, I can provide the link in chat as well.
Our VOD viewers are gonna fucking hate us for this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for those looking to learn crafting jobs, it often becomes a massive investment of gil with little ability to recoup costs. Is there an intended or preferred pace or strategy, such as leveling alongside gathering, that the non-combat team believes is efficient for such players? Yoshida says, first and foremost, the key to efficiently leveling a disciple of the hand or land class is to not rush it. If you want to level a class quickly, it will consequently require a lot of gil, so you can cut down on time spent and increase efficiency. I'm sure spending money to save time is a concept we are familiar with in the real world as well. Okay, yeah. The next important thing is to level Disciple of Hand and Disciple of Land classes simultaneously. Equipment for crafting and gathering classes can be used across the full spectrum of these class groups, and if you level multiple classes alongside each other, it makes it easier to utilize the proper equipment, making it both easier to craft items and increase efficiency. Furthermore, if you level Disciple of Hand and Disciple of Land classes simultaneously, you can use the materials you gathered to do your crafting, so you can save the gil you would have spent on buying the materials on the market boards. It's also important to frequently put the extra materials you gather and craft up for sale in the market.
Mm-hmm.
Basic crafting 101, but yeah. Supply and provisioning missions issued by grand companies are set up as a daily system, but because of that, you can gain a huge amount of experience points from there each day. If you continue to turn in the items for supply and provisioning missions for each of the Disciple of Hand land classes every day, it'll help with efficiently leveling without having to spend much gil. Don't forget to use your leave quest allowances as well. It's just, I mean, crafting leveling is still legit. It's just reading some... Just don't forget to use your leave quest allowances. It's just a funny sentence. Before they cap out at before they cap out at 100. Even just doing these two things should make things go much smoother. So I would encourage people to try these methods. Leveling Disciple of Hand and Land is not difficult.
No,
Maybe hand is more because of the money you need. But if you have, you should always... Pro tip, level your gatherers first. So you can gather the basic materials and then you can craft the stuff you need. It's essentially what he said. But yeah, that's how you should do it. The most important thing is to get rid of the notion of bragging and showing off. Don't go around with a mindset of, I'm going to reach the level cap in 10 days, or look at how quickly I can reach level cap. I think if you go this route, you can definitely reduce the amount of gil you are going to spend. He laughs.
Why?
I don't know. Yeah.
But yeah, now gathering and crafting aren't hard anymore.
No.
Very simple, very easy. I can understand like spending money to buy a couple of things on the market board, but I don't necessarily think that you're buying that many things that you're going to be running out of money anymore.
No. I mean, I can see if you're like, sometimes it's tempting when you're doing the grand company turn-ins to just buy the item in high quality on the market board. But it's often very expensive then, because good like market board players will like check what the turn-in is for that day, and then they'll bump up the price for a quick buck. So yeah, it's better to just craft it. And usually it's really simple stuff to craft as well. You don't have to like, it's not like a 5-star craft. Is that a thing? 5-star? 3-star.
I don't think it goes up that high. I think it goes up to 4.
Oh, 4. Yeah, 4-star craft. Okay. Finally, the live letter team mentioned that changes are coming for Dome and Mahjong, especially UI changes and the addition of Quick Match. What trends or feedback have you noticed that drove this update? And out of curiosity, are any developers regular Dome and Mahjong players?
This is a weird question.
This is the question everyone cares about. This is what the people want. Final Fantasy XIV has many different types of gameplay content, including content that encourages you to play them on a daily or weekly basis. This can also translate to a lot of content which players may feel they are obligated to do. Everyone is busy with their lives outside of the game, and so they tend to subconsciously think about how much time each piece of content will take. Content which takes up a lot of time to complete regardless of how fun it can be. Wait, what? Sorry, I astral projected. Did not read that sentence properly. Content which takes up a lot of time to complete, regardless of how fun it can be, tends to attract fewer participants. I did it. Mahjong is a tabletop game in which you compete with strategy and skill. So each match invariably tends to run long. However, with a quick match mode, players are able to finish a match in a fraction of the time, and many Dome and Mahjong enthusiasts voiced their desire to have this implemented. At first, I didn't know how many people would play Mahjong content, so I was a bit worried that having 2 separate modes to queue for would increase the wait times. But we ended up seeing a lot more players engaging with the content than expected, so we decided to move forward with the addition. Interestingly, there is a Mahjong Pro League in Japan with professional Mahjong players, but it seems they are playing Mahjong in 14 too, so I'm very glad about that. And then he laughs again. Just as an aside, I've been playing Mahjong myself since the age of 7, and of course I play Dome and Mahjong frequently as well. We also have a good number of members on the development team who enjoy playing Mahjong. I've even heard that Masaki Nakagawa, our lead battle content designer, wanted to be a professional Mahjong player when he was younger. Anyway, we will continue to update Dome and Mahjong in future patches, and we are actually making plans for another large-scale gameplay content for the Gold Saucer. Now I wonder what we will bring to you next. Oh my god, is this Blitzball?
I'm very curious. They've been talking about... I feel like they've been teasing the next big Gold Saucer content since the start of the expansion.
Yeah.
And they haven't... The only thing that's come to the Gold Saucer recently is the Slices, right?
Yeah.
And the new Leap of Faith map.
Yeah. Large-scale gameplay content. Could be Blitzball. Could be... remember this when everyone wanted the snowboarding game?
Could be Lord of Dominion 2.
And that would be funny. They could do that for April Fools. Hope they do that.
That would be funny. I mean, it originally was an April Fool's joke, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. So it would be very fitting to do it again. But don't make it real this time. We don't actually need Lord of Dominion 2.
Maybe Minion Battles is what they're working on.
That would be so awkward for Lord of Dominion. But...
Or maybe they can transfer the stats from Lord of Dominion.
I think if they're going to do that, like equivalent to pet battles, I think they should remove Lord of Dominion and replace it with that instead. I don't think Lord of Dominion should be suffered to live like us, like they just hid it away in the basement. It's so sad, so sad. Together with Chocobo Racing, yeah.
That's true. On a side note, I do wonder if Pro League players in Japan are playing Dome and Mahjong in 14. I wonder how accessible or how many online Mahjong like game sites there are for them to play it.
Yeah.
Like, is 14's one of the better ones that exists online?
Strange idea. Like, because if professional Mahjong players are playing 14 Mahjong, it means they have leveled a character in 14 to get to the Gold Saucer, right? Because you have to be...
Not that high. It's only 20.
Yeah, that's a lot, though. That's like a lot of story. That's a lot of... You have to do dungeons.
That's true.
You have to do dungeons to get there.
I know, but that's also part of the free trial.
Yeah,
they don't have to pay for it.
They still have to do content. I don't know. I'm just picturing... I have no idea like what the average age of a professional Dome and Mahjong player is, but I'm like feeling that it's like
called Mahjong in real life.
What?
I think it's just called Mahjong.
Did I say Dome and Mahjong?
Yes.
Sorry, professional Mahjong players. I don't know what the age range is, but I'm just picturing like some like mid like 60s guy.
I think they're younger than that.
Okay, I don't know. I have no idea. I just feel like it's the same age bracket as like professional. What am I thinking of? I don't know why I'm thinking like. What is the okay? Poker players. I guess they were relatively young, actually. Now I think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's not that
bridge
weird.
Players. Yeah, I was thinking.
Oh yeah, bridge. Yeah.
I mean, maybe playing 14 is what they've been doing in lockdown.
Maybe.
I mean, they can't go to in-person mahjong tournaments right now, for the most part.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Okay, well, that's good. I mean, we've been told that the 14's mahjong system is pretty good. So, I mean, it must be since pro players are using it. So, okay, let's see what thegamer.com has to say. Not our overlord, the gamer, but the website, thegamer.com. We read an article from them too, actually, last week. Here's the big one. I'm gonna have to like skip that part that we have read. I think it's like near the bottom of it, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right. Despite a disastrous launch, so here's the headline: How Final Fantasy XIV became Square Enix's playground for experimentation.
How do you feel about websites that say 14 in non-Roman numerals?
I immediately feel like they don't know enough of the franchise.
Okay.
Despite a disastrous launch back in 2010, Final Fantasy, again, just written 1.4, has slowly but surely carved itself a path to excellence, with its Shadowbringers expansion going down as one of the most prolific and prestigious Final Fantasy entries in recent memory. Also, can I just also say that it's wrong, like, to do 1.4, because that's not the name of the game. The game's name is XIV. Very strange of them to be like, it's, well, I know how to read Roman numerals, I'll translate them for you. No, you shouldn't translate it. That's the fucking title. Okay, Final Fantasy 14 has... So you could use 14 if you're like referring to the 14th game of the series, but if let's say a game's name is like now I have to think of something. X I have to think. Okay, if a game's title is released in all languages as like poop. All right. Well, that's what I did. So I've done it now. Poop. And then, you know what? I will not go on with this. This is not a hill that I'm going to die on. But you just know that when I read someone say Final Fantasy 1.4, I like you less. All right. Let's go. Fuck. I don't know where I am.
Although this is largely attributable.
Okay.
Attributable.
Although this is largely attributable to the confident sense of self the game exudes, it's worth noting that Final Fantasy XIV has also taken pains to stitch together massive crossovers with a range of other series. There's literally a game called 13. You could use it as an example. Thank you, AJ, for coming to the rescue. There you go. Which is spelled XIII. If you write that as just weird. 13, what the fuck is wrong with you? There you go. On one hand, this seems relatively ordinary. We've seen everyone and their granny get a Fall Guy skin, while Minecraft Steve recently arrived in Smash Bros. With
it's not true anymore.
No. With his meat on proud display.
Also, I'm really sick of people calling him Minecraft Steve.
Yeah. Minecraft Steve. With his meat on proud display. But it's different with Final Fantasy XIV. From the android apocalypse of Nier Automata to the poster colossi of Monster Hunter World, Final Fantasy XIV has become a valuable arena for experimentation when it comes to Square Enix's most feared and revered franchises. It's not just about a new skin or profile icon. These are crossovers designed with unique characters, stories, and gameplay loops, all of which enhance not only the experience of playing Final Fantasy XIV, but also the world and lore of the game it is currently hosting. As a means of delving deeper into this phenomenon, I recently spoke with Final Fantasy XIV creative director Naoki Yoshida about the trials and tribulations that come with executing successful crossovers with some of Square's most behemoth series. Sorry, I'm still thinking about the fact that I tried to make an example with a game called Poop. And that was the word my brain picked without any follow-up. There was no plan other than having a game called Poop. First off, for these occasions where we produce content with other titles in Final Fantasy XIV, I usually refer to them as crossovers, which go beyond the scope of collaborations. Yoshida explains. This is an important distinction to make from the get-go. Collaboration implies the two series are working together to come up with an external project that is at least partially independent of one or both parties. These events are crossovers because they become integral parts of the series they represent, while simultaneously being woven into Final Fantasy XIV's own world. If a collaboration is a project assigned in parallel, a crossover is one in which two different, direct narrative lines become intertwined. Yeah? Instead of simply implementing costumes and hairstyles for characters in each game, our aim is for both communities to be able to enjoy the campaign by combining the respective worlds and incorporating a story as we go about production, Yoshida explains. In the first place, there were two reasons why I wanted to incorporate crossovers in 14. The first was that I and the development team wanted to work with certain content or creators that we admire and love. There you go. So it's... well, it's too early to comment on it because he'll keep talking about it here, but it's like in some games, stop talking about the poop in chat, please. I'm trying to forget it. In some games when they have a crossover, they just do the crossover. Like they're like, here's the hairstyle, here's the clothes, done.
Yeah.
There's like no justification for it. In 14. Even if the justification is a little thin sometimes, they try. Like, there is an attempt to bake it into the world. Like, you could say, like, yokai is a bit of a stretch, but they try a little bit to get it to work within our world.
Yokai has even more of an explanation than Garo did back in the day.
That's true. Yeah, Garo just came out of the... That was... Yeah, but they even with Garo, they tried. Yeah,
they did. Yeah, there was a little explanation for it, but it was very minor.
Yeah.
Yokai even had, like, the little quest beforehand.
That's true. I do appreciate that, though. Even if I don't agree sometimes with the crossovers, the fact they're trying... it feels like they care still, like, about...
Do you think we're going to get another car?
Why would you say that? Why would you even...
Because I like the car.
I mean, they've already done it. They've already done it. So at this point, it doesn't matter. Well,
just take solace in the fact that there likely will not be a car coming from 16.
That's true. Yeah. I'll be more happy with a 16 crossover when that happens. Yoshida tells me that Final Fantasy XIV's status as an MMORPG necessitates a variety of specific rules, which are implemented to speed up long-term development without compromising quality. This can be a double-edged sword. Although it contributes to mass-producing and streamlining content of a high caliber, it also inadvertently heightens the risk of repetition, boredom, and monotony. Not just for players, but for the people working on the same aspects of the game over and over again. Integrating Final Fantasy XIV with external game worlds allows the team to work in synergy with another studio, usually one they are particularly fond of, and in turn enables them to alter the overall experience of not just playing the game, but actively developing it. In a nutshell, the first reason is that a large stimulus encourages Final Fantasy XIV's own growth, Yoshida says.
Large stimulus, eh?
Yes, large stimulus. This isn't the post show. The second reason is that it generates more activity for both communities, expanding the user/player base for each franchise. Yoshida continues. It is for this very reason that we do not simply just exchange items. It is instead necessary for us to create a story and produce an intricate game experience. He specifically mentions the Yorha Dark Apocalypse crossover, for which the story is spearheaded by Yoko Taro and the Nier team. The Final Fantasy XIV quest writers provide support in order to ensure that the narrative is consistent with Eorzea's lore, while the Final Fantasy XIV team at large takes the reins for battle scenarios, envisioning and designing bosses and their mechanics. Ultimately, it allows both series to borrow from one another to see what kind of new techniques could work for future iterations. And because they are both under the Square Enix umbrella, they're not in direct competition. Instead, Final Fantasy XIV provides the two games in question with a means of actively learning from each other. It's worth remembering that Yoko Taro once said, "If Square Enix gives me money, I will create anything." So experimenting with Yoshida's team on Final Fantasy XIV crossovers could culminate in something completely off the wall down the line.
Imagine being able to say that. If Blank gives me money, I'll do anything.
Yeah.
And people actually giving you money.
Yeah.
Obviously, anyone can say that,
Yeah.
but very few people actually get money as a result.
Yes. While Nier is a title in the fantasy genre, we do a thorough job of creating the history and lore for 14, Yoshida says. In this case, it was sort of a process whereby we adjusted aspects of the lore, informed the situation to Yoko-san, and had him think long and hard for ideas so that the presence of Nier's world wouldn't pose any problems within 14. We may have an advantage in that Magitech weapons, magic, animals, and monsters all appear in 14, enabling easy integration with almost any other world. True. It's we have machines, we have magic, we have high fantasy. I mean, there's very few things that wouldn't work in our world with they would struggle to integrate. I guess like current time stuff would be difficult. Like, what did you say?
We do have a car.
We do have a car. God damn that car.
Even then, because remember, Nier is post-apocalyptic. They could implement things from.
Oh yeah, I forgot Nier just happened. Yeah, they're like, yeah. Fuck. Well, everything. Well, sometimes things don't fit, but they still try to make it work, I guess. The car just does not work here, but it's justified somewhat, so... No, it doesn't. It's a car.
Yeah. They don't call it a car in 14. They don't know what cars are.
I only review the end product, Yoshida jokes. This is handled differently for each crossover, so there's no fixed procedure that we use every time. Of course, not all crossovers are run in conjunction with external games, as well as the likes of Nier Automata and Monster Hunter. Final Fantasy XIV has seen several events based on other games under the Final Fantasy umbrella. The process here is similar, but not exactly the same, as well as offering Square Enix a look at how the otherwise detached entries in its illustrious series can come together, be it narratively, thematically, or mechanically. Some of these crossovers directly add to the lore of both games, while simultaneously creating opportunities for future ones. Final Fantasy. See, that's just a thing that they do here. They mentioned 13 and 15, and they're both in like numbers. FF13 and FF15 are amongst the major crossovers, but in both cases, we had the official staff for those titles think up the story. Yoshida explains. I wonder if so there must be a reason for them to like just use the numbers. Do you think people reading this article are too stupid to understand Roman numerals?
I think just some websites are not going to use the Roman numerals.
It just feels like it's like a decision that they have made. They're like, we will not use Roman numerals.
I think it will be more interesting going forward with any article that mentions both 14 and 16, because I think those are more easily confusable.
Yeah, that's
with
true.
Each other.
In that sense, I will almost support it in a way, I guess, because that one's easier to like. If you don't read properly, you might read that as like 14 or 16. Yeah. All right. Okay. You know what? The more I think about it, the more I think this is more for people that don't play. I mean, it doesn't really help though. Like for the people that don't play Final Fantasy normally, like to give them an idea of what number it is. But to them, that doesn't mean anything. People that don't know Final Fantasy wouldn't understand what 13 and 15 means. It's weird. It's a weird decision to make. Anyways, in particular, for Final Fantasy XIII, we had the crossover suggested as part of a saga in which the heroine, Lightning, visits Eorzea for a trial, and it was actually Toriyama-san who wrote the story. It was our job to produce that story as content, which would fit well with the world of 14. Accordingly, we have been able to achieve crossovers in a true sense, whereby the worlds are firmly brought together in unison. The 13 event was long. I feel like it was a long.
It was
quest
quite
chain.
long.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't.
And also, it came back like 3 times.
Yeah, I don't even know if you call it a quest chain. I think it only had one quest, but like it had 4 different
It had
fates
a
that you had to go
fate chain.
through.
Yeah. You had to do like, well, not
Yeah.
in the sense that you just had to do a certain. Yeah. You had to do them in order.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then the final one was in Mordona.
Yes. What this means for the future of Final Fantasy is unclear, but the presence of a massively successful MMO in the series means that one thing is for certain. It is now possible for past and future entries to be reconciled with one ongoing cohesive world capable of connecting any and all of them. These connections... What? Oh yeah, he's...
Don't know if I agree with that.
I mean, technically, considering the crossovers, it can.
I mean,
Because
yeah, that's true. And
what happens is supposed to be canon. So
and if you consider the Omega storyline,
yeah,
technically they do all exist within not necessarily the same universe, but the same something.
yeah, and that idea has always been there because we've had what's his name with the arms?
Multiverse. Thank you, AJ.
What's the Hildebrand Greg? What's his actual name? Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh and Omega are the actual Gilgamesh and Omega that appears in all the Final Fantasies. So it's sort of makes sense that 14 can be what they. 14 can be the connection point of all the worlds.
Yeah.
Which is strange. It's never happened before that we've had like a. I mean, it was implied in 10 too that 7 and 10 was connected. That was great.
Are you still expecting a 7 remake crossover?
It's so difficult because we already have so much of like 7 stuff in the game.
Yeah.
So what could they possibly bring us that we don't already have?
We don't have Cloud's actual 7 outfit. We only have his adventure outfit.
That's true. I maybe when part 2 comes out or when it releases on PC, that's a good one as well. Maybe then. Speaking of, well, this is not the place to talk about it, but part 2. When is that coming out? I think they're
fully focused on 16 right now. I think it's not going to come out until at least a year after 16 is released.
Weird. So weird. Okay. This is further evidenced by the premise.
No.
No?
These connections
have been relatively minor so far, but as the influence of Final Fantasy XIV continues to grow, the potential for future, more ambitious crossovers grows with it. This is further evidenced by the premise of returning crossovers. This can be seen in one of 2 lights. Either the first attempt was unsuccessful and could be more worthwhile now, or the first attempt was so successful that bringing it back is a no-brainer. The Nier, Monster Hunter, and Final Fantasy XII events are permanently available in Final Fantasy XIV, likely because they are all Square Enix affiliated. But certain external crossovers are... What?
Monster Hunter is Square Enix affiliated?
No, that's Capcom.
Yeah, that's not true at all. Also, calling the Eve-Release raid a Final Fantasy XII event is very weird.
Yeah, that too is weird, yeah. I wouldn't call that a Final Fantasy XII crossover even. That's like... Because it's not 12. It's like 12/Tactics reworked for 14.
Yeah, and it's definitely not a crossover, considering the relationship changes
Yeah,
they made.
yeah. The only real thing is near. So I can see why they're not using the Roman numerals because they don't know. Um, yeah, you got the 12 armor. Well, you got the tactics armor as well. So it's
Mm.
yeah. There's yeah. Okay. On such an event,
One such event.
one such event was the Yokai Watch crossover, which originally debuted back in 2016. It ran for a second time a year later and recently appeared once again as part of patch 5.3 this August. Yoshida tells me that the team had been working on 5.3 for over a year by the time it launched and had always been focused on improving and expanding the free trial. On top of that, the game had already seen a significant increase in new players, which gave the team reason to bring the Yokai Watch crossover back for a third time. Yeah. That happened. They brought it back again. They're probably going to bring it back another time. That's just a thing that they can do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. We'll probably get two runs of this version of it as well. Like we had 2 runs of the previous version.
Yeah. Considering that much time had passed since we originally held the collaboration, and with the addition of new jobs to the mix, we had a simple motive of using this opportunity to add weapons for the new jobs and having players enjoy the experience once more. Enjoy the experience.
What about the experience is enjoyable?
After all, there were also a great deal of requests from our player base. If the timing works out, we'd certainly like to bring back other previous crossover events.
What ones?
Huh? What?
Which other crossover events would they bring back?
I'm surprised that there's not more that they didn't do. Well, Shantoto was done twice, right? The 11.
Yeah, I think so.
But that one has been it's been a
Shantoto was-
long time since Shantoto, the 11 crossover. That specific. They brought back the other one with I keep forgetting her name.
Iraha.
Yeah, Iroha. I wish they brought back the Shantoto one, because that one was actually quite fun. Unfortunately, I can't do it again. But, I mean, for all the people that haven't done it, which I would assume is a lot of people.
You have other characters that can do it.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. I mean, 11 is sort of the game from which this game was born. So I almost expected more crossovers, to be honest. But, yeah. I don't know what other...
Not sure.
Yeah.
I'm still not sure if we're supposed to think that our Tenzin is supposed to be the Tenzin from 11.
See, that, yeah, I don't know. They kind of almost implied a little that he's like, he lived for a, like, didn't he like come from, I don't remember the story. Was his like origin like a little obscure? Like we didn't know where he came from? So it could be, and she talks about Tenzin in the quest line. I think I might be mixing it with like actual 11 quests. Yeah, I don't know. I still want it to be the same one.
Yeah.
All right. Right. So this quietly testifies to how instrumental crossover events have been to Final Fantasy XIV's longevity. They offer long-term players something fresh, entice fans of other series to download the free trial, and ensure that the development team doesn't get bored or jaded by the same continuous loop. At the same time, the idea of crossovers has become endemic to the DNA of Final Fantasy XIV, which is obviously incredibly useful for Square Enix if it continues to experiment with its own IPs in the commercially and critically safe haven that Final Fantasy XIV has become. If Yorha Dark Apocalypse had failed, Final Fantasy XIV fans wouldn't hate Final Fantasy XIV, and Nier fans wouldn't detest Automata. But because it succeeded, Final Fantasy XIV players are now avid fans of Nier and vice versa. That is technically true, because I don't think I would have played Nier if it wasn't for this crossover. So
yeah, that's true.
yeah. On top of that, both divisions have clearly learned from the experience. It wouldn't be odd to see traces of each universe in its Dark Apocalypse counterpart in the future.
Be weird to see 14 stuff in the next Nier game.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be very strange.
We still don't really know where our part of where the Yorha storyline fits into Nier Automata, if it is at all supposed to.
Right, yeah. But it is canon, isn't it? According to Yokotaro. I feel like he said that it was. But he says a lot. He just says whatever. That's right.
He says a lot, but that doesn't at all surprise me if it is. Because I think I don't underestimate his ability to find a way to somehow tie it into into the Nier universe.
That's true, yeah. Final Fantasy XIV has become Square Enix's most experimental playground. This is primarily due to how widely successful it has become, but it's also worth reiterating Yoshida's point earlier about Final Fantasy's universe being so expansive that it can accommodate pretty much any other world. For example, I also asked Yoshida about what his ideal crossover would look like, not just in terms of other Square titles. Okay, well, you know where this is going. But if he could work with any other game studio on the planet, his response was enthusiastic to say the least. Blizzard. All right.
And we covered these last week.
Yes, we did. That's yeah. Crossovers is. I mean, at this point, we don't really discuss. We don't. It's not a thing that we. It's just a thing, part of our game now. Crossovers. But
yeah.
I remember the resistance when, well, especially for Yokai, I remember. But because it was such a shift, such a different game. Because we had the 13 crossover made sense because in the game that they were promoting, lightning flashes into another world. So
yeah,
it just made sense. And the 11 one made sense because it was 11. But now it's just whatever. Fuck it. With Monster Hunter World was integrated quite nicely. It feels like it's part of our world, the Rathalos fight.
I mean, it's not really any explanation as to why it wouldn't exist. They just essentially implied that the Rathalos is a monster in our world.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the right way to do it. I mean, you're both giving Monster Hunter fans fan service, but you're also making sure that 14 fans feel like this is their content as well. This is part of their world, so.
Yeah. And behemoths just exist in Monster Hunter World as well.
Yes, yes, vice versa. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Right. That's the end of that interview. It's interesting to hear Yoshida's input on crossovers. He sure loves them. And
he does.
And you know that every fucking crossover is decided over dinner. There's always a dinner, and then probably Yoshida gets a little he has a little too much to drink, and then voila. You have a crossover with I can't think of a stupid game. What would be a stupid game to cross over with? Tetris. That would be cool, actually.
I actually think Tetris would be able to work. I think Tetris is too. I was going to say anomalous, but that's not the word. It's too. No, yeah.
Crossover with poop. Why didn't I say that? Yeah.
Overwatch. Winston Overwatch.
Oh, Winston Overwatch.
We're here to talk about.
Yeah. Among Us. That too would be.
That'd be fun.
Okay.
If they found a way to do it.
We're gonna read MogMail now. We're gonna read at least one.
Yes, I think we should read at least one.
Should we read number 2 or number 1? You can pick, Georgi.
Number 2 is too long. I would prefer to read number 1.
Okay, are you sure? Have we not read number 1 before? Is it a similar?
No, we haven't read it.
Okay, then we will jump into MogMail. MogMail. Where is my MogMail? Here it is. There. Nope. MogMail. There. Ah! This, I don't know what happened. This is from Kale Nix from Ultros. After reading the Elidibus short story, so you know, it kind of dates this MogMail, I was fascinated by the technique Zem used to combat forces of nature, imbuing them with a will, then battling it. I then wondered if Azam did the same thing more than once. The sound was pretty much a force of nature that no ancient wanted to tackle directly, just like that volcano. Azem may have planned to give a will to a thing that only existed to torment its victims and to create chaos. But what if the sundering happened before Azem could finish that thing off? That monster sundered across all shards with a purpose identical to the sound and a desire to battle its creator, Azem. The main suspect would be Xenos. It would explain his single focus on chaos and battle, his obsession on battling the Warrior of Light, the purpose of his creation, and controlling Zodiark, who was at one point the star itself, just like the sound was poisoning the planet. If it is the case, did Emmet know? Was it a coincidence? Or did Emmet implant a fragment of the sound into his descendant to create the perfect tool for calamities? Well,
I suspect that Emmett Selk had no control over the sound. If he did, I feel like we wouldn't have to deal with any of the things that have occurred in this game.
yeah, because he loved his world so much that I don't think he would do that.
But good question. This MogMail does bring a good question to me. Which would you prefer Xenos to fuse with, Zodiac, or a physical manifestation of the sound?
Wait, what would fuse with them? Well, ask your question again, Yuri.
Which one would you prefer, Xenos to fuse with Zodiac, or a physical manifestation of the sound?
Then I would like, the latter, with a physical manifestation of the sound, because it would leave Zodiark alone. It would leave Zodiark as like the most powerful entity and not Xenos. That would be more interesting to me that he did that.
I kind of agree.
Yeah.
And it's also actually only a sundered part of the sound.
Yes, that's also true.
We have to take this MogMail at its word.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the original, fully powered up version that resulted in the sundering eventually.
Mm-hmm. The sound is the creature. What if the sound? Yeah, that's what we're going for. That the sound is probably the creature under Silvertear Lake, which is still an interesting. They have not talked about it at all in A Realm Reborn. I think the only thing that I think maybe Eric in the monk dude still says it in his explanation for Silvertear Lake, because he has a lot of lore, and I know they've been like updating him every now and then, but I don't know if they have. Most of his 1.0 text is still there, but I don't know if they've changed it. But yeah, he might still talk about it. I think that's the only place where that is mentioned.
I feel Picasso might have mentioned it at some point, but I can't say that confidently.
No. Oh, yeah, he might have, actually, yeah.
The sound is Vieira Voice 7.
Oh! Bring back that voice, please. Yeah.
Find somewhere to use it. Somehow.
Oh,
give it to an NPC.
Turn that into like the Wilhelm scream of 14. Like every time like a character dies in the background, you just hear, oh! That'd be funny. Yeah, no, I the sound was pretty much a force of nature that no ancient wanted to tackle directly, just like that volcano.
They didn't know where, like, they knew it was at the center of the earth, but they had no idea of, like, no real concept of what it was.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of scary the more you think about it.
Yeah, it is.
It's just like
it's very scary. There's no, like, we have no information about it other than it was a sound and where it came from. We don't know what caused it. We don't know if there was anything physical that caused it, or if it was just like a thing.
Oh, I just hope it's not going to be like it was us. Like, there's going to be some time travel shit, and then this is in my mind. It's just going to be like some time travel, like, you have to destroy the world, otherwise we will never have been born. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go scream in the middle of the... I'm going to go scream in the middle of the planet. Ah! And, no! Oh! And that's the sound. No, I want that better be a fucking good explanation. I'm not gonna go with some like cop out situation on that. That has to be good. Good.
I think it's one of the most exciting mysteries that's left in their game.
Yeah. And the fact that it ties into like the source as well is so fascinating. Yeah. So we might have been playing in like the battle, like Mordona might have been like the end game, like the actual end of the story area all along, and we've been there for many years. Okay, that's the end. It's time to wrap up. Thanks for watching this episode of Speakers of Heidelin, episode 220. Rolodes will be back next week, I think. Remember to follow on Twitter at SpeakersXIV, twitch.tv/SpeakersOfHeidelin, youtube.com/SpeakersXIV, exclamation Discord in chat if you want to join our Discord server. If you're watching on demand, link is in the description. Remember to send us MogMail at speakersxiv.com/MogMail. Please be patient. The website is struggling. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. Remember to catch the post show if you're watching live, and we'll be back tomorrow to play some games. Sunday fun day. See you there. Goodbye. That was a good burp.